Hello and welcome to another episode of the Y'all Dirty Podcast, where we talk all things dirty when it comes to our homes, hygiene, and really just anything that gets under our skin. I am your host, Sarah, professional organizer, who also does cleaning and packing in the Indianapolis area. I'm going to get through this today, as well as Nashville, Tennessee, and starting in January 2023, Louisville, Kentucky. And as you've heard, my sweet, dainty, delicate sound engineer, Eric, is here with me. How are you, Eric?
I'm not going to answer that question.
That's okay, because we have another visitor today.
We have a guest in the studio.
How should I address you?
I don't know. I'm a guest. I'm only a guest actually because I refuse to leave the studio from the last podcast.
This happens more than you would know.
Right.
Yeah.
That is the quickest way to become a guest on a show, is just because we don't have proper security here.
That is exactly right. And if nothing else, I'm a guy with an opinion. So,
Hey-o.
Ayo. So we have actually discussed you on our podcast before. This is my family member. How do you want to, what should we name you today?
well, if I were on camera right now, I'd have a black square over my eyes, or I'd be behind a screen because I can't even imagine what you've said about me in the past.
Well,
so
I mean, we've kept it, appropriate.
I've hinted at a few things.
Right. We both have hinted. So if people are giving you looks...
I'm going to re-listen to the old episodes with a new understanding that I may be the person you're talking about.
Yeah, well, I think you would know.
I think if you listen to all of the episodes, that would be...
A running theme.
That's just a way that we get people to listen to the show.
Yeah,
is we
there was a
tell them
few
we're
times.
talking about them.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's a collection of awful relatives when in fact it's just me you're talking about with all those human flaws.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm so glad to see both of you today. The holiday season is upon us. I can't believe it's already mid-December. We were just talking about swimming pools a couple months ago.
Mm-hmm.
Here we are. What have you been up to, Eric?
Just, I'm finally done mowing.
Okay.
That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, all the way till, last week.
Didn't everyone else's grass die, 3 weeks ago or something?
The leaves.
Oh, yeah.
We live in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and our visitor has a new house. How's the new house going?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for remembering that. Yeah, it's great. It's actually, we have a very wooded lot as well. So not as large a lot.
Didn't a tree fall?
Tree
on
did
your
fall.
Lot? Did you hear it?
We got lucky. We had quite a bit of tree removal that needed to happen. And what happened was that one of those fell into some power lines. So the utility department came out and did about $2,000 in tree clearing for us and trimming. It didn't cost us anything.
Yeah, it's good when things just happen like
we
that.
We stuck it to the man.
I mean, it didn't matter that you guys, threw some gasoline on it and
Accidents happen.
accidents.
Someone called this.
Who called? You called this?
Sent me a link. Look, this is the house we're looking at buying. First thing I said.
What's the deal with that tree in the backyard?
Look at all these dead trees.
Yeah, you literally could see about 1/18 of this tree over the top of the house, and he said, "There's something's not right about that tree," and sure enough, it fell over.
Because I took down 9 ash trees last year. Mm-hmm. I'm so done.
I think Eric just drives around looking for
faulty trees.
Faulty ash trees? No, I don't wish that upon anyone. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully I'm done with that for a while. Actually, no more ash trees anywhere on our property. So
Okay. Well, we have a couple of things. Because it's been a while since I've seen you, we actually have a few follow-up things to a few different episodes. So I'll just talk about that really quick, and then I wanted to pick our visitor's brain, and then I think he's got to go. He's a man on the move, so I think we're going to annoy him enough to where he finally leaves the studio.
It's working. It's working already.
I'm going to turn on the sprinkler system. So, can I call you by your name, or do you want to go by something different? You never told me.
No, you could call me by my name. Say my name. Do you remember my name?
Say my name. Freddy. Are we calling you Freddy?
Freddy,
I'll go with Freddy.
intern,
Okay.
station manager.
Okay.
Yes.
Will you be our intern? We're still looking for one.
How fun would that be?
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine? You're really good at getting coffee.
I'm great at
You're
getting
just not good at coming
fetching
back.
coffee.
And
You just get distracted.
and no one can get him pregnant. So
you just sent me for coffee, and I went for coffee.
Yeah.
he didn't come back either.
That's what I'm saying. He gets distracted. 4 coffees later. Have you spent the whole day with him where he's just by the coffee machine? Have you seen him in action? Just loading up on caffeine.
There's one right outside of his door.
There was a season where we had offices next to each other, and there was a little room in between, which is where the coffee maker was. And frequently, I was there all the time.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not sure I got anything done.
Was the coffee maker in between your office and the restroom?
No.
Is that okay?
No.
Well, I mean, you can put a bucket anywhere, so.
But I think we had a second coffee maker between the office and the bathroom. So
okay.
Well,
that's good.
We really did.
You need one every few
in the
steps.
other studio, yeah.
In case you want to stop and get a cup of coffee on the way to the bathroom.
Yeah.
So.
Have you seen online the glitter bombs for the porch pirates?
Love those.
Yes. So I finally made the connection. You know when we did the swimming pool episode, and there was the scientist that had the sandals that you hated?
Well, yeah.
It's Mark Rober. He does the porch pirate glitter bombs. Have you seen those?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same guy.
With the fart spray and everything?
Yes.
Yeah, I love that.
Yes.
Still doesn't change my opinion.
Oh, my God. He's fabulous. I knew he looked and sounded familiar, so I wanted to make that connection. We need to like him more.
So what was the deal with the sandals? I've missed that.
So we did an episode about peeing in the pool.
Oh, gross.
And,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
But he's standing there, and he's doing an introduction to the experiment that they did. And I think he wasn't wearing socks with sandals. It was just sandals. But
Do you
Eric
have
didn't
blue
like
jeans
them.
on or something?
Yeah, but, he's Canadian. So,
Well, there you
which
go.
Eric has a big problem with that.
Oh, this is a very judgmental show.
Yes,
So
it
that doesn't
is.
surprise me.
It is. I'm still shocked we don't have hate mail yet, because we're like on episode 7.
What, because I said that Canadian women smell like snow.
When did you say that?
I've actually written that down. I wrote it in a birthday card.
Yes, we have a coworker. We have a mutual friend who is Canadian.
Oh, okay.
And he suffers at the hand of Eric often.
Okay. So I
Every
didn't
time he
realize
does
this.
something silly, I add it to my list. So, like, he
Okay.
wanted to go to Panera Bread for lunch last week.
Mm-hmm. And what is wrong with that?
Stop it. It's vending machine food. That's what's wrong with it.
You know what's funny is the angle that I'm set up at right now, I technically could switch to see you on your monitor. I just now realized that.
Did you
You're
see?
a terrible person.
Did she see your new coffee cup?
What is it? Uh-oh. Oh, wait.
Mm-hmm.
Who got that for you? Oh,
Of course.
Freddy.
Of course.
Yeah, in the last episode, I actually kind of went around and nitpicked this office, and there were a couple of things that I saw lying around that he goes, well, your family member bought me that, so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So
We're looking
that's
for
very
the
nice
That's
of
What
you.
She Said button.
Mm-hmm.
That little button.
Yeah,
It's
we've got
here.
a little button. You know, like the one that says that red button that says
Yeah, that's what she said.
it says that's what she said. That's what the button says.
Right.
So we
Well,
got
that's
that
what I'm
last
saying.
year.
Like
It's here. We just
he
don't know where.
are you going to start wandering again? You should have
Well,
seen
and then the
it.
year before that, you got the movie poster for.
Yes. Well, she was talking about stuff that was in here, but I don't think I told her. I don't know if I told you about the poster or not.
For what was it?
Threat Level Midnight.
That's it. Yeah.
That's what she said.
See, he has something to. I just need to go get my own. I can't rely on him.
What? Do you know about the thing here? Do you know about the soundboard?
Yeah. Well, yeah, because you have it over there. I just need the little button.
Yes.
Yeah, we gotta
So-
find that.
Speaking of gifts, Eric, I have a gift for you.
Uh-oh.
Look, and I mean, I wanted to find
Is that a
little.
wiener dog?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's close to meat. Is it meatloaf or meatball? It's
Could
meatball.
you say that? How could she? Is the name Meatloaf?
I know. Here you go. I'm gonna give that to you,
Thank you.
and you can open that, and then I'll tell you what button to push. Because you know you're good at pushing buttons.
Yeah. Oh boy.
This is probably really loud in the mic. Let me
That's okay.
move this over here.
So much joy. The little guy and I found that for you.
I love Okay.
Do you love
Aw.
it?
I do love it.
I'll have to show. Do you want to hand it back just for a second so I can put it on? Didn't I tell him to wait until to push the button?
He is very.
I know. Hey, just don't press
Childlike.
record. Press play.
Okay.
Happy holidays to my my favorite weirdo. Merry Christmas, Uncle Eric.
So
Very nice.
I didn't realize it would make our voices like elves, but yeah, I'm the one that called you my favorite weirdo, and then the little man said, "Merry Christmas, Uncle Eric."
Oh, I love it. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome. I'll hold it up in a little bit.
Oh, yeah. Here, I'll hand it back to you. I'll give you yours.
Hold on a second. I can be doing something.
I can be doing something.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. See, what a good intern you are, Freddy. Oh, my goodness. Okay, for those of you watching on YouTube, it's a little Christmas microphone, and then it has the little North Pole FM, which has the cute little radio things. Thank you so much. Why don't you keep coming over here, Eric, so we can see your pretty face.
My favorite weirdo. Merry Christmas, Uncle Eric.
Aw, thank you so much.
I'm going to have a lot of fun with this.
Yes, you will. I know. Well, and I like giving a gift that you can show off to the whole office.
Yeah, and that I can terrorize people with.
Look what Eric got me. This is wonderful. For those not watching on YouTube, it's a lot of chocolate and a cute little red bow. I kind of feel bad that Freddy's here, and he's a family member, and I don't have a present for him.
It happens.
That's
Am I going to
adorable.
see you
You
at
know,
Christmas?
I am.
Give him a piece of gum.
You know, Sarah, I'm a youngest child, so this episode isn't the first time I was unplanned.
Hey-oh. Hey-oh.
Oh, nice.
So,
Oh, yes, I do know your siblings, and
yes.
yeah.
So my being here, my showing up unplanned is a thing I've been doing since the beginning. So
Nasty.
You nasty.
nasty.
So, Freddie, I know you have to take off in a few minutes, so we're going to go ahead and kind of roll into the episode. Speaking of gifts, I have seen probably half of my clients that I'm going to see before Christmas, so I've given out some gifts. One of those gifts that I gave to my client last week was a toilet seat.
Oh, no.
I actually installed it for them, put the packaging in a bag with some hot chocolate. Just the package, just in case they need to take it back, or because sometimes.
What is
Yeah.
wait, what is wrong with that concept? She packed a toilet seat with hot chocolate.
You have to understand that some of these gifts I think about for the whole year, and I'm like, I hope they get a new toilet seat. I hope they get a new toilet seat. And then it's like the summer, and I'm like, if they don't have a toilet seat by Christmas, because it was $20
Yeah.
through it was like a Target toilet seat, even if it just lasts them for a year. But I mean, this was one of those that was in between a wall and a vanity. So it was, I had to like kind of really clean all different sides of it, because to get in and actually unscrew it and put on the new one, I had to kind of get into some tight spaces. But I'm just curious.
So have you ever put like a black light on that kind of thing?
Okay, now that's going back. What? Now go back.
What did I say that prompted that?
You're getting into tight spaces.
Oh, yes.
Go ahead.
Sticking my face down into certain areas. Is that what you said?
I don't know.
Okay.
It was good either way.
I'm referring to a toilet, and anytime a toilet is in a smaller enclosed area and you put a black light on that thing, it is disgusting.
Yes.
The walls, the floor.
Yes.
What would Michael Scott say? Actually, it was Dwight. It's either going to be blood, urine, or
That's
semen.
right. I hope it's urine.
I hope it's urine.
I know one of our clips at some point will be from The Office.
Okay.
It will be. So before we play our first clip,
Okay.
I'm going to ask Freddie, how long do you think a toilet seat should last? Like how often should you switch that out? A toilet seat?
For functional or hygienic reasons.
Either one.
Okay,
How
just
long
so-
do you think it would last?
Wait, I'm gonna insert something in there. Hey-o,
Ayo, look.
when you bought your new, because you just moved into this house.
Yeah.
Is it the same toilet seats?
One is and one isn't.
Okay.
Okay.
So one is new,
But one isn't.
but one isn't.
Possibly with herpes on it.
Well, more than likely with herpes. But I kept it because I like it shuts on its own real slow. Mm-hmm. And I was
Real slow.
I was really impressed with that.
I can get those for $20. Seriously, I just had to replace one at home. Costco, the Kohler brand seats with the soft close.
Yeah.
Okay, 20 bucks. It's the elongated ones where you don't
Yep.
Yeah.
slap your giblets on it when you sit down.
Oh,
Yeah, no giblet squishing.
thank you for mentioning a show term.
Lady giblets.
We're not doing lady giblets. I told him that sounds like,
giblets.
doesn't that sound like a high school volleyball team? The lady
The
giblets.
fighting
We have talked about
the
this
fighting
before.
lady giblets.
The mascot.
The
Yes.
fighting lady.
So what would the
Yes.
mascot be? What, like lady giblets? Well,
There's so many places to go with that.
Yes.
So, or as Eric once referred to as your subjubulatory region.
Right.
subjubulatory region, yes.
Yes. Yes.
So
And
that's why the round ones don't work
Right.
always
the round what?
for gentlemen. The round toilet seats.
Oh. I'm like, are we talking about giblets or
No,
okay.
because that's when you're slapping your giblets on the. On
You
the
want to step
round
out in the
seat.
hall and smack somebody for being loud? I'll have you know that because it's now insulated in the hallway,
The entire
you could
hallway
barely hear that.
is.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I saw a door opening earlier. Now that I'm on this side, I feel like this is a whole new world over here being on this mic.
Yeah. Oh, you show people my posters.
Okay, so Eric has his, what is it, de-motivational posters?
Yes.
What does
that one
Why
say?
don't you go ahead and read your favorite one out of these two, because they can't see them they can see the bottom of this one.
Read them the ambition poster. You just have to move that lamp.
Ambition. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid to get emotionally invested and then fail.
Anything been truer?
Oh, so true.
Yeah. Welcome to
Yeah.
podcasting.
Yeah. Okay, so let's say, so when you move into a new house and there's a toilet seat and it looks okay, I mean, is that just based on you weren't grossed out when you saw it? I know you were mesmerized by the soft close, but
I was impressed with that. It doesn't take
Right,
much
impressed.
to amuse me.
Right.
Well, we cleaned them. We scrubbed everything really good.
right.
So, like with antibacterial
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, and it wasn't stained on the bottom
No,
or
not at all.
anything. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
look-
that's one of the big things too.
Yeah, the bottom stain. That's
It's
Yeah. That's too much.
Well, and that
That's-
was the problem with this house was that every time I cleaned this toilet, you couldn't tell. Did you ever have one of the padded toilet seats that crack?
we did. You know my mother, and
I do.
and we did have a padded.
Oh,
and
they did have one, didn't they?
I'm sure. Oh yeah.
Those
Yeah.
were standard issue back in the 80s.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
like 6 people living in this house, and we had one bathroom.
Yeah.
So it didn't take long before that padded seat started to crack, and I'm sure holding
Yeah.
copious amounts of bacteria.
Ugh.
Lots of urine.
So later in the episode, Freddy may not be here, but I just wanted his opinion because I will go over this one article that talks about the different types of toilet seats, the best, the worst.
Are we also going to talk about public bathrooms?
Sure.
Because I've
Yeah.
told you this story before. In fact, just before we went on the air, that I was literally in a public bathroom and there wasn't a paper towel to open the door with.
That's right. Yeah.
So I was literally frozen in there waiting for another customer to come into the bathroom and let me out without having to touch anything.
Now,
Been
see,
there.
if it's the winter and you've got a long sleeve, do you ever just use your sleeve?
That is so gross, but yes.
But
or
yes.
the tail of my shirt or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anything to keep from touching that door.
Well, now they
handle.
have the little kick plate thing, which I can never get right. I feel like you really have to have a good, like, thigh or calf muscle to really pull those with your foot. I don't know. It's just
I would
weird to
rather
me.
use my face to open it with a kick plate than to touch my
Yeah.
hand.
Yeah.
That's
But,
all.
you know, some of these places do a really good job now of putting either a little trash can outside or inside right by the door
Right
because
by
they're
the door.
tired of picking up
Yeah.
just the random. Yeah. Well, I tell you what, Eric, why don't you go ahead and play clip number 1? We'll at least
Okay.
get through that one. Yeah.
Most people think their toilet seat's pretty dirty.
Yeah.
This myth states that that's not necessarily the case, that there are many other locations and things within your average person's immediate vicinity that are far filthier than their toilet seat. That's what we're going to test.
We're going to pick a bunch of different places, go out, take samples, grow cultures, compare the results, see what happens, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Shall we start?
Yeah.
Okay.
It seems every week there's a new claim about hidden household hazards. But are the microscopic critters on everyday items more menacing than the beastly bugs found on the old porcelain throne? Well, the Mythbusters are on the swab.
All right, so that has been the claim. I wanted to go ahead and cover the toilet seat because in our previous episodes, we've talked about how people have compared
Yeah, it's the benchmark.
yeah, it's like this is dirtier than your toilet seat. And so, how dirty do you think the toilet seat is? Do you guys have predictions
Well,
before we get
I mean,
to?
what's the unit of measure? I mean, is it just X amount of bacteria or the types of bacteria that's on it?
That's a good question. I feel like you've seen the upcoming clips.
I haven't. I usually screen these to try to spare people if they're terrible. I'll try to edit them down without telling you, but
Right, because I don't notice.
well,
This was a long episode, and I did break it down into some good, because they do go over the whole, this is how we tested it, this is what we're looking for. But yeah, I mean, just in general, when you think about, the number of bacteria and how bad the bacteria is, because obviously there's going to be different kinds.
So if the toilet seat isn't in fact the top of the scale, do we just say the scale is very dirty to not as dirty as you would think?
yeah,
or-
that's fair.
Yeah. And,
Well-
and you'll see, or you'll hear later in the clips where the toilet seat becomes the control. And then they have these other items that they test.
You said in the last episode that was a steering wheel was like 10 times worse than a toilet. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, when we did car
But
interiors.
what does that mean?
But I
Right,
can even,
because-
and I can even imagine what like a kitchen sponge has on it. I mean, that kind of thing.
Yes. I'm so glad
Yeah.
you mentioned that, because that is going to fall into this experiment, and it has been on my list because we've talked about how a lot of these topics come from my clients. Not only have they had problems with their kitchen sponge, but I have seen some really bad kitchen sponges. So, we'll go ahead and let
Hey,
Freddy duck
Freddy-
out for a second.
Okay, I was going to have Steve he would grab me a Powerade wipe. Kind of
So
selfish of him,
so
really.
important.
Yeah.
That's okay. Let's listen to clip number 2. He'll be back.
Stand by.
He's probably going to go get coffee.
He took his phone
I
so he could be
know.
going to go to the bathroom. No, I'm joking.
I know, yeah. When he comes back, we need to tell him that the number one thing
Mythbusters
is a
are
cell
dishing
phone.
the dirt.
Okay.
And last but not least, cell phone.
Testing the myth that everyday items are more germ-ridden than a toilet seat. And after a night of microbe multiplication,
The colonies that are growing in there could be anything. They could be yeast, mold, bacteria, whatever. So what we're going to do is count and record the different types of colonies and also the overall abundance of them. And based on that, we'll pick the dirtiest ones.
I see 2.
That's it? Just 2 from the toilet seat?
Just 2.
This is already getting interesting.
the toilet seat is remarkably clean. But that's not so true of the others, particularly the kitchen sponge.
He called it, didn't he?
Oh, dude, that is nasty. Have fun counting that. I'll see you next summer.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have that long, so Dr. Vance has a solution.
I think it's almost uncountable.
So then how do you write that down?
Well, I would say that's just off the charts.
The remaining 6 samples from cell phone to light switch are counted and logged.
All right. So basically, they took, 10 or 12 items. I know light switch was one, money was one, kitchen sponge, computer keyboard. I
Okay.
think cell phone was one of them at the beginning. And so just to kind of speed things along, basically after they do this test, and if you're watching the video, and I can put the links in the show notes or whatever, but they're looking at those colonies. And so the toilet seat only had 2 little colonies. Now the question is, what are those colonies?
Yeah.
But the kitchen sponge petri dish was just completely covered in something. I mean, you couldn't even see any
Yeah.
space.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So, so part of the video that we're not going to see is how they actually go to the lab and how they filter everything out and all that boring stuff. Some
Yeah.
people are interested in that. So if you want to go ahead and play clip number 3.
Okay.
Nice work, but I don't think we can call it yet. I mean, it's only a single solitary swab. We need a larger sample size.
All right, well, let's say we choose the top 5. Toilet seat as a control plus the 4 top contenders and do a really nice large sample size with those. Our filthy 5.
Works for me.
So to expand their sample size, they're off to UC Berkeley, where a class of microbiologists are about to start Mythbusting 101.
Hello. We need your help. We've selected several surfaces that we're calling the filthy 5. Now, these are surfaces
filthy
that people
5.
come into contact with on a daily basis. And the question we need to answer is, how dirty are they? That's where you come in.
Now, in order to get a nice big fat sample size, we need 50 of you to collect us samples from the following: toilet seat, a light switch, a kitchen sponge, money, and a computer keyboard. Can you guys help us? Yeah! Awesome.
And with a hunger for the filthy five
Sounded so
facts,
fake.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
microbiologists quickly get the swab done.
All these female microbiologists are like, yeah, I'm on TV. It's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's where I'm going to go ahead and point out my little peeve with, and this is from Mythbusters for anyone that didn't hear it when it was mentioned twice. When they're swabbing, when the guys swab in the first experiment, and then when these kids, these college kids go to swab, they are swabbing the actual toilet seat, the top part of it. So my question to you is it really going to be that clean if you were to take the seat off and swab the underneath part of it? Because they're just swabbing the part that you sit on, which is usually just where your thighs and buttocks comes in contact. But it's the underside, obviously, that gets caught in the middle of things.
Well, but since people aren't handling those parts, I don't know that. I don't know how relevant it is. I mean, it's like, let's swab the inside of the toilet while I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. But the thing is, the toilet seat obviously goes up and down.
Right.
So, like,
well, if you're touching it with your hand to go up and down.
Well, yeah. So people are touching different parts of the toilet seat. Freddie. Oh, look at him.
Yes.
Oh, did you text him?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I was like,
I was doing
wow,
that
was, what a great intern.
Thank you.
Freddie, you got Eric some. Oh, you got me one? Thank you. Or did you want that one?
No, it's for you. I've got my own.
Okay. Do you have his mic on? Where'd he go?
Unlike when
He's
I go
back.
for coffee, when I just go for coffee and then sit
Right.
and drink 2 or 3 cups of coffee, and then I can't remember why I'm there.
Right. We thought you saw something shiny. So we just,
did.
it's like with kids. It's like we just got to keep going.
I did. I was in a group one time. I don't want to get you sidetracked, but they were talking about the symptoms for adult attention deficit disorder.
Yeah.
And literally, as the conversation's going on, everyone begins to look at me. Of course, I'm fiddling with my keys and my phone and doodling and all that. And
I love it.
Why do they keep looking at me? So.
Well, it's so funny because you mentioned the kitchen sponge and then you stepped out and it was almost like you had ESB because the next clip they talked about when they put they swabbed a number of things and put it in a petri dish and let it, So then they go to look at it. The toilet seat only had a couple of small colonies.
Interesting.
The kitchen sponge, they said, was off the chart. They couldn't even count it because it was all over this
Like a
petri
tree.
dish. Yes.
Like a little maple tree or whatever in the
Yes.
middle. I got it.
It was rough.
Yes.
Yeah, that's
the only
that's
other thing
brutal.
you missed was then the third clip, they go to a college campus and they're recruiting these little microbiologists to go there's 50 of them. So they're going to go grab 50 samples of toilet seat, light switch, money, keyboard, and kitchen sponge. So they call it the filthy 5.
Okay, so on that scale of those 5 things, which landed where?
We're getting ready to find out.
Yeah.
okay.
Well, so when they just did their own experiment, I believe the toilet seat actually came in near the bottom. And I think cell phone was like maybe right above that.
Okay.
But then I think, they swabbed everything. Oh, that's what it was. They swabbed everything. They looked at the colonies and they made their list. But then when they went into the lab and they actually figured out what the colonies were as far as the type of bacteria, I think cell phone actually fell off the list because they were only taking the top 5.
Okay.
So and that's the question that Eric asked was, are we looking at how much bacteria is there or the type? So now, now that they found out what items have the most bacteria and the type, and I believe kitchen sponge was number 1, and I guess that type of bacteria,
Okay.
that type of bacteria, they said is horrible for people that have a weakened immune system.
Okay.
So if you're already someone that's susceptible, so now they're sending the college kids in. Now we're going to get a better broad sample. If you want to play clip number 4. Are you caught up in your mic? What are you doing?
Just horsing around.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is finally time for the Filthy 5 countdown. In order from cleanest to dirtiest, and starting at number 5, we have the light switch. Number 4, our control, the toilet seat. Number 3, the keyboard. Number 2, money. And the number 1 dirtiest thing of everything that we tested, he's back on top after a year of hard training. Jamie, come on in.
Did you just cut it off?
I paused it. Does anyone take a guess? I don't know.
So let's revisit. Number 5 was...
Oh my gosh, I forget.
5 was light switch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Then we had the toilet seat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had...
The keyboard.
And then money.
Number 2 was money.
Okay. Ready?
And then, yeah.
So is it going to be cell phone or steering wheel? Okay, here we go.
And name number 1.
The kitchen sponge. Where does that leave us?
Well, given the myth that there are everyday things in your house that are far filthier than your toilet seat, I'd say it's totally confirmed.
Confirmed it is.
But you know, the question that I just asked Eric was, in all of the samples, when the kids were doing it and when the Mythbusters were doing it, they were just swabbing the toilet seat, like where you sit, the top part, which really, that's not going to have as much exposure to bacteria as the bottom side. So when they say dirtier than a toilet seat, I feel like they're just, this is where I've got to call out the Mythbusters, because I feel like they're kind of copping out on that one.
I have a question, though.
Yeah.
What other part of the toilet seat would you use or you would come into regular contact with? Not the underside.
Well, but we talked about things you touch.
If you're, if you're flipping the seat up and you're not using your foot.
Yeah.
So probably little kids and weirdos, if I had to guess. You know what I mean?
Well,
they're reaching down and lifting that seat up, and
Gotcha. Okay, all right.
Well, and other than women like falling into the toilet, that's the other complaint about when guys leave the toilet seat up, is that they have to touch it to put it back down, and it could be all covered on the underside. So I'm just saying, if you were taking the seat off of the toilet and actually swabbing both sides of it, I think you would get a completely different
There's
result.
also that thing where you're Ralphing into the toilet and you don't have anyone to hold your hair.
Right. Yes.
Been there.
Rob has been into many Broad Ripple Bar taverns.
Many. Woke up in a few.
They say that no one is nicer than a drunk girl holding another girl's hair while she's throwing up at a bar.
That's sweet.
You see so much love in there between.
Yeah.
You make new friends. It's like, I'll hold your hair.
Nasty.
Yeah. Girl, that is nasty. So the thing about the sponge, though, is that it's not a stationary item that is teeming with bacteria. You take that sponge and then you wipe it on everything else. Mm-hmm. And that's why that is so.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm just going to go ahead and say probably the next episode will be the kitchen sponge, because I have so many thoughts on that. And as far as like cleaning different surfaces, like I'm a big proponent of just using the sponge to wash dishes. And then when you're cleaning the cabinets, you're either using like a wet paper towel or like a magic eraser or something different.
You're not afraid to throw money at stupid stuff, though. Weren't you talking about the saline wipes or something one time?
So I was telling him about boogie wipes that kids use where, because you can either squirt saline up their nose or you can just wipe.
Okay.
But he's acting like I went through a pack a day.
Okay.
It's not like
a pack.
It's not like Freddy's old smoking habit. Like it's
Right.
I've
had many bad habits. That wasn't one of them.
They
That
sell
was
these
more-
to scrub the walls. And I'm
Well-
like, what about just a good old paper towel or some Pine Sol or...
No, the company that uses the wipes for kids' nose, they're like, hey, you can also use our wipes on the wall. They were just, trying to
Sell more wipes.
Sell more wipes.
Yeah, but those were just for convenience in a diaper bag. Like at home, you would spray stuff up their nose, but if you're out running around, that was just an easy, like, I'm just going to wipe your nose with saline. I know. Eric how much money do you spend on Meatball? What all does Meatball require for maintenance? Because Freddy and I actually have another parent in here. Freddy gets it, right, Freddy?
Right.
Well, I wasn't even necessarily talking about you. I thought when we talked about this, you had clients that were buying this stuff by like the pallet.
I didn't say that.
That's kind of, I guess I just felt that. We're talking about Brentwood and.
Oh.
Like
well, no, I was talking about how the worst booger wall I've ever seen was in Brentwood, Tennessee, in a country club neighborhood that was like one of the most expensive. Yeah, I'm just saying that some of these houses, you drive by and think, oh, wow, like that's so grand. And then you see the inside. And so.
So I can't give any names, but years ago, I was in the home of a prominent community member. Very well-known, prominent community member. And they were giving us a little tour of the house, and these are the kids' rooms. And by kids, these were teenagers. These were 17, 18, 19-year-old kids. And two of them would pick their nose and wipe it on the wall next to their bed.
That's what she was talking about.
And I was horrified by this, and the parents were probably so used to it, it was almost like they didn't notice it. And so I kind of, as I'm walking through, and they're going, oh, this is really cute, it's great, it was well appointed, just super expensive.
Yes.
I mean, this was a very expensive house, and and as I'm walking through, and I just stop and I walk back and look directly at it.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, that's our daughter.
Yeah.
I had like a 16-year-old daughter that would pick her nose and wipe it on the wall. I was horrified by it. And what it reminds you of, just because somebody has money or prestige or status, doesn't mean that their family isn't as screwed up as everyone else.
Yeah, it doesn't mean they're not disgusting.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, I thought you were going to talk, somebody had a sock with rigor mortis.
Well, I asked Eric, so you need to listen to the Booger Wall episode then, because I asked Eric, have you ever seen one in person? And he said, I don't think so.
I saw two in the same day.
Yes.
In the same house.
Man.
Yes.
I saw two in the same house, and one of them was this was an almost adult that was wiping her burgers on the wall.
Well, I told him when I went to do research for the episode, because I had seen kids' rooms and kids' bathrooms, that there were actual notices in corporate bathrooms saying, please, these were adults, like 40 and 50-year-old men. Hey, don't wipe your burgers on.
Right. That is the grossest thing.
Why
would that even cross your mind?
Right. Especially when you're sitting right next to the toilet paper. Like, why?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And look, my fingers in my nose is more than anybody, as much as anyone else's.
This is true. And in his pants.
And then
in his pants.
Sometimes both at the same time. But I don't wipe anything on the wall.
Right.
It's just disgusting. It's just so gross.
Yes.
I mean.
Yeah. We need to just sit you down and do like a rapid fire. Like the next time you're on, from all of our different episodes, you need to go listen to them. Just like we scolded Lauren last time.
I've listened to many of them.
Okay.
Hey, we got to take time for our fake advertiser.
Okay.
Now, I feel bad because I didn't come up with a new one, so we're just going to play it for a little bit.
We're doing the same one.
Eating that barbecue from up the street? Where they give you more sauce than they give you meat? Well, bring your big ass down to Brud's Barbecue, 15837 South Crenshaw Boulevard. That's right off Manchester. Brud's Barbecue tastes so good, make you want to slap your mama. Don't it, Willie?
Yeah, boy. Hey, mama.
What the hell you want? Every one location, so it's me and you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a sponsor.
Actually,
yes. We are big time.
I believe this episode's going to have two sponsors because the
Does the other one start like this? Look down there. You see that sign that says rib tips?
No. No, this is you guys go ahead.
I'll since we're up to like 5 or 6 downloads per episode.
Okay.
And we have sponsors now.
Yeah.
We have fake. Yeah, we have the fake sponsors.
Okay. I have our other sponsor ready.
Okay. Uh-oh. You know what this is?
My leg! This segment sponsored by Woody's Lumber, going against the grain since 1969. Woody's Lumber, customer service so good, you'll get wood.
That is classic.
Yeah.
That is
that
classic.
a local? Who recorded that?
Well,
or did you find that online?
It could be from our other podcast.
Okay.
That's an advertisement that we made, but
okay.
I've got a whole bunch of those.
I told you
Rainbow
if you
Brew.
want to plug a podcast while we're here.
And where was that located? Woody's Lumber.
Where is Woody's Lumber, Eric?
Wasn't that at 69th and Tito Jackson Boulevard?
That's the corporate office.
That's okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's not the warehouse.
No.
Well, in case, Freddy, you have to leave in a second, I have one last question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about toilet lid covers, like the decor of like the little slip cover.
Just an additional bacteria catcher kind of
Yes,
thing.
yeah.
You've got to remember my lead story the story that I led with was being frozen in a public bathroom, unable to touch anything because I was horrified at touching the handle.
Yeah.
And literally had to wait like an extra 7 minutes for somebody else to come out.
Right.
There I stood. They opened the bathroom door, and there I stood waiting to get out like I was trapped.
Right.
But I couldn't. Yeah. So
you were
no.
trapped within your childhood.
I was
body.
I was trapped in there. There's no way I was touching that handle. You know, I got to tell you, and what really freaked me out about that was years ago I was in Philadelphia, a city that I hate. You know this, Eric. I hate Philadelphia. And I was in Philadelphia, and I got a really bad eye infection. And so I called my ophthalmologist, who was a buddy of mine, and I said, "Hey, look, my eye's all swollen and red." He goes, "You got pink eye, probably." And I said, "Pink eye? How did I get that? Where'd it come from?" He goes, "That's from getting fecal matter in your eye."
Yes.
I didn't know that.
That's
You didn't know that, or you did?
I did not.
Yes.
which scarred me forever of just touching things. And
Yes.
and I never really thought I had somebody describing. This just happened the other day. I'm in a meeting and somebody was describing their friend who they called a germaphobe.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, you're not going to believe this, but this is what they do. And I thought, they're describing me. They were describing somebody else. He won't touch door handles, and he won't this, and he won't that, and he's constantly using hand sanitizer and all that. I thought, got me.
Well, I was very OCD before we started this podcast, but after each episode, I find myself really up in my game. Like now, every 3 days, I'm spraying the toilet handle. It was usually once a week, I'm going to go clean everything. But now just the little things throughout the week are I used my towel once, but I've used it as a hand towel. So
since listening to that episode, I have really begun washing our towels more. And it used to be that you kind of use the smell test or the kind of the numbers of bath showers or whatever. Mm-hmm. And now I've really
and I
changed that.
think when they did the test on the different towels and they told one woman that she had whatever it was that caused pneumonia, I think when you hear stuff like that, it's well, obviously I don't want to be sick this winter. What are some things I can do to kind of reduce, those risks? So, yeah.
Wash your stuff, people.
Yes. Well, okay, so the toilet lid cover, the reason I ask is because I still have a few clients that rock the toilet lid cover and the matching toilet mat.
Or like carpeting in a bathroom.
Yes.
Yeah, that can't possibly be a good idea.
Well, they're both soiled every time.
What
they're
kind of
both
soil?
Horrible. Well, what do you? They're damp
do you
with
smell
something.
them? Do you put them to your face and smell
I
them?
do. I get down and do the smell test.
It's so hard not to, honestly, because
motherfucker.
I just love sticking my face in other people's damp crap.
Urine-soaked carpeting. You can't help it because you just gotta know.
I'm very passive aggressive because when I changed out this toilet seat, the toilet seat had that cover on it. And so I took that and then the mat around the bottom and I went and threw it by there because they all hate doing laundry.
Sure.
So when I'm there, I create more laundry but it's every time you clean your toilet, if you're going to have something decorative around it, you have to wash that. You can't just keep.
What about those little stools? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, for children to stand on to wash their hands, that kind of thing.
They came up with one. I don't remember what it's.
Oh, you mean for elderly?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
This is to put your feet higher so that you're squatting.
The bear. He had to have it, and we went out and found one.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The
It's
bear.
a squatty potty.
I wish we could get him on the phone.
I gotta tell you, because I'm a long trail hiker, so you poop a lot in the woods.
Okay,
that's
continue.
the easiest way to poop ever. It's the natural way to go.
You're talking about
You mean what is? To carry a stool?
Well, what he's referring to is it gets your knees higher. Kind of thing, so you're more of in a squatting as opposed to a sitting.
Right, but I'm saying I'm just saying in the woods. You're saying squatting deeper, or you're saying taking equipment with you?
No.
What all are you carrying with you?
It's the deep squat. It puts you in the natural.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all you have is your little trowel, and then your toilet paper or whatever.
Okay.
And if you're OCD like me, you also have the clean. You have the little moisette towelettes to clean yourself up with, and then you've got 14 ways of sanitizing your hands.
See, this is you and I are family, but we're so totally different because I cannot be out you enjoy being out in nature in the middle of nowhere. For me, even if I went prepared and had everything, I couldn't do it. I would just feel so anxious.
You would be so shocked by how quickly you'd adapt.
Okay.
I'm just saying that. I will tell you this. I talk to people who
You don't
are
have
wanting
the
to.
options.
I talk to people all the time who want to. Yeah, there are no porta potties. You're in the woods.
Yeah.
Right.
And so my first time I was on the Appalachian Trail, and you got to go.
Right.
So you have a plan in advance. So like we were camping, and we were at a near shelter, and then I just picked a spot. Hey, what's the best spot? And then you just kind of want to go away from everything and away from water and away from that, and then you just dig a hole, you let it go.
Which Eric's going to start doing in his backyard.
You bury it all.
Hey, I've done that.
You bury it all.
In your backyard?
It is what? It's interesting. When I talk to hikers all the time, what is your greatest fear before you do a long trail hike? And it isn't bear country or timber rattlers or terrible weather. It's their fear of pooping in the woods.
Oh.
Overwhelmingly, they're like,
Yeah.
I just don't think I can do that. I've been wanting to long trail hike my whole life, but I just can't imagine that.
I've done a lot of stuff in the woods, though.
Just do it. Do what?
Look at his face. How many ticks did you find in your booty when you were done?
0.
Okay, so that's there again. We're getting off into hiking or into trail, but that's where you wear like compression shorts and things like that. Try to wear gear that prevents those things as opposed to having to find them and do everything else.
I know, but then when you're squatting, you have to pull your pants down.
Yeah, but that's
she's talking about
seconds.
when I was.
Well, he did the
talking
eyebrow
about-
raise about stuff he's doing in the woods. So.
Hosing down a screamer in the woods.
Oh my
Gotcha.
gosh.
Gotcha.
That
That
was a
poor
long time ago.
squirrel. We're talking about squirrels
Long time
here.
ago.
Because that's what he does. He
Yes.
poops in the woods and then he grabs a nearby woodland creature and wipes his bum with a
Yeah.
A woodland creature.
Squirrels are perfect for that.
to wipe
The
your
right
bum.
size. Yeah.
That big fuzzy tail.
Yeah. They're perfect. You can't go wrong.
Give me your thumper.
Oh, yeah.
Innocent little bunny.
I'll take a squirrel over a rabbit
You
any
see
day.
a bunny run through the woods and he's white. When he comes back, he just has
He's got
like a streak down
big
his back.
brown streak down him. Eric's
wrong with
somewhere
that?
in the woods.
Yeah.
Oh, well, speaking of squatters, that's the other thing when it comes to women in public restrooms is I just can't stand the woman that tries to squat and actually hit it just makes everything worse. Don't hover, don't squat. There's actually an article that talks about how toilet seat liners are pointless.
Oh.
That was going to be my next thing. So
Okay.
I'm the toilet paper and just kind of wipe them down. I don't want anything wet on there. And
Exactly.
you kind of wipe it down.
Yes.
And then you're good there.
So
and then,
why are they useless?
Well, the biggest thing, I'm just going to kind of paraphrase here. Basically, what he just said, that if you put a toilet seat liner down, because they're so thin that if there's moisture, it'll come up through and get on you anyway. But I'm a toilet paper. I take even if it looks dry, I take toilet paper, I wipe the whole seat, and then I put down toilet paper.
Okay, then do you flush before you go to the bathroom? Because you think like this, if you're pooping, it will splash back up on in your butt.
Yeah, well, it depends on if it's clean. Because when you flush, you're stirring up all of that into the air.
Yeah, but I'm just talking about the water.
Right.
What's in that water, the bacteria
Now,
in there that can...
if I walk in and the toilet needs to be flushed, I will flush it because just being in close proximity to somebody else's now, if there's another option, I obviously go to the clean.
Sure.
But if you go into a gas station and you just have one option, I really try to can you tell that Freddy and I are related? We both got very animated.
I feel like we're
him,
off the rails with this pooping thing.
Well, and one more thing before I leave, and that is,
Okay.
as a guy, I don't know about you, Sarah, but as a guy, you use your foot to lift the lid and to flush and everything.
Yep, you don't have to touch anything.
Yeah. So at rest stops, I do the foot flushing thing because I know that that's what most women do at rest. Like I used to use my hand. Are you okay?
No, I'm fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh, he's contracted something from
he's getting
his
hot and
last
bothered.
hike.
All
Yeah.
these poops. By the way, you said what time you have to go pick up?
What time is it right
we're
now?
at 50 minutes.
Well, what time is it right now?
It is 4:48.
Oh, perfect. If I leave in like 5 minutes, I'm good. So we'll wrap everything up here.
Okay. Good.
Yeah.
And I have our custom play out music again.
Well, so real quick, okay, let's just talk about toilets being replaced in general. We're just going to
Okay.
do a quick thing.
All right.
So how old is the oldest toilet that you've had? Because both of you are homeowners. How old will you let a toilet go before you replace it?
Oh, well, you don't really, I mean, unless there's a problem, I don't know that you would replace it.
But does it get to a point where it's just so gross? Because if you've got the hard water buildup in the bowl and you've got the hardware that has been hit with different
Well, you can replace all
moisture.
that hardware, and we have a water softeners. I mean,
yeah,
that's a no factor for me personally.
Okay. I moved into a house built in 1928 with the original plumbing, original toilet, original everything, and we were so charmed by it, we changed the toilet seat, but there wasn't much sense in changing the whole toilet out. So it was probably 2010, 2012 before that toilet was actually ever replaced, and that's because it just could not be repaired anymore.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so the recommendation is every 20 years.
Do I win it at like 90 years? Do I win that one?
You do win, yes. Because the recommendation is every 20 years. They said if you, depending on how you care for your toilet, if you actually get it repaired and you take care of it, it could last up to 50 years. So if you made it last 90 years.
Yeah, it was probably 85 years.
But you know, Freddy was at my mom's house when we replaced her toilet last year.
Yeah.
And he was very creative with the old one. We did some reuse, recycling. He made a beautiful planter out in the front yard.
I set it right out in the front yard where it could be most easily seen. I was proud of my work, and then we put flowers in it.
She had dead flowers in an older, but her, and
Sounds classy.
This is what they talk about in the article, is that if it gets to the point where it won't flush anymore, if it runs all the time, if it leaks, like, you know, just, you don't want to leave yourself to where all of a sudden you just don't have a working toilet. So just be aware of that. And then the toilet seat, they say probably every 10 years, unless it's a padded one that cracks. Sometimes the wood ones will crack, or if it's a cheap plastic. So, yeah. Okay. The last thing, I sent this to you, Eric. I don't think Freddy has heard about it, but I forget what you labeled this girl. She's an Instagram influencer. I'm not going to say her name because I don't want to give her more attention. But they had a cleaning hack, Freddy, where they took off a toilet seat, and not only did they put it in the dishwasher.
I knew you were going to say dishwasher.
Yes.
Help me, Jesus.
There were dishes in there.
Help me, Lord. Oh.
Yeah. And they were like, that's all you've got to do. And of course, you know, the internet went crazy, and Eric said some things.
Yeah.
So they made the case that this was not going to cross-contaminate anything.
Yeah, they're like, this is just, first of all, they, you know, Eric thinks it's clickbait, which I agree in this.
Guys, the Deion Sanders of retards.
That's wrong.
Eric, you got to stop pushing so many buttons.
That wasn't even me.
What do you mean it wasn't you? Was it Meatball?
So they made the case that...
Excuse me, my friend here has an IQ of 38. We can park here, right?
That's one of the greatest.
Okay, that's
one
the
of
last one.
Greatest movies ever, by the way.
That's an IQ.
Well, first of all, they make it. I highly doubt that these two girls actually could take off a toilet seat.
No, yeah.
Well, the whole idea of a hack is to cut corners.
Right.
So
yeah,
that's the worst ever.
But let's just make it. I think it's almost irresponsible, though, if you're doing something just to get likes and follows and all of that, because there are some people that will see this
and do it.
And it's so gross.
So that's it. Kind of came up earlier, but that was going to be my suggestion. Is for $20 you can just replace it.
Yes.
If that's what you want to do, but
right.
Handling them and taking them off and on, I mean, you're getting you talk about getting into the weeds with grossness.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, when I replaced that one, I had my gloves on. I had to kind of clean everything first.
Hazmat suit.
And exactly,
Mm-hmm.
yes. Yeah. Of course, I had to get my face down in the stuff.
Right. And if you're renting one more than 3 times, it just makes sense to own one, right? I mean,
hazmat suit.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, I thought you meant a toilet seat. I'm like, can you rent those?
It's like a tuxedo. If you're going to wear it more than a few times a year, you just buy one.
Right.
Buy it.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
Well, I do have a final thought, and that is this isn't my show, and therefore I've taken it over, which is kind of common. I did that just before
Ratings
this.
were down, so we appreciate you being here.
We're going to make sure this thing gets listened to. So occasionally I throw the dog bowls in the dishwasher.
Okay.
So I know this is not about toilet seats,
right.
but I get lectured every time I do it, and then I am forced to rewash everything else without the dog bowls.
So I understand that they are quote unquote kitchen items. What is he playing now?
This is our
You're doing this before we finish this thought, our outro?
You're pushing it on time.
I know.
I'm done. Thank you for having me.
I'll drive fast.
No.
You know what? I would like for you to join us another time when we talk about y'all dirty dog bowls.
And we talk about
and kitchen sponges.
Hiking hygiene.
And hiking in the,
Yeah, hiking hygiene be an episode all in itself.
I'm telling you what.
It's true.
I'm telling you what.
Eric, anything else you want to say?
No.
I think you've said a lot today. I appreciate both of you being here. You can find us at y'alldirtypodcast.com. Email us at y'alldirty@outlook.com. And we'll see you next time.
Yay!
I didn't ruin it, did I?